All right, we are live. So happy Monday to everybody. This is another Canine Freedom Dog Talk, and I got my good friend Bill over here. And Bill has done already like two interview podcasts with me already. He's a really good friend of mine. And Bill, why don't you go ahead and do like a quick intro of yourself, what you're doing, and where you're at, and your business.
What's up, Kevin? Thank you, buddy. My name is Bill Church, also known as Bow Wow Bill, and I'm a dog trainer just north of Seattle, Washington. But I travel all around the country helping people with their dogs. I really like to do the one on one aspect of where I actually go on site with families and work with them. I love matchmaking, I love finding the right dog for the particular family, and we're going to talk about that today as we get into genetics and the importance of selecting the right dog. Heather, we got Heather joining us. Um, Sorry, I'm distracted by the comments. Just like the dogs, I got the squirrel mentality. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've been training dogs since I was a young kid, and I have been doing it professionally up here since 2007. And I love what I do. I love my clients, and I love to effectively communicate to them, and so it helps them understand this dog, and that we're doing like interspecies communication or cross species communication here. And I think that that's just super cool, man. That I get to live my dream every day on helping people understand dogs, and I've known that I wanted to do this ever since I was a young kid. And so I talk to my clients' kids a lot, and just talk to them, tell them like, pay attention to your wants and desires now as a young child, because I'm doing something. I'm almost 50 years old now, dude. Isn't that crazy? But I remember when I was a young kid, knowing that this is what I wanted to do, and so it is truly a dream come true. And I appreciate everybody that allows me to live my dream every day by trusting me with their dog. So thank you for
That's
having me on, man.
No, man, it's always awesome having good conversations with you, man. And you were just a genuine, amazing person, and couldn't ask for a better person to talk to. And Heather, sup, Heather, hi, Laurie, and then
And
hi, Joe.
do you know Joseph? Have you ever met
Yep,
Joseph?
yeah, he
Okay,
was
cool.
in my yeah he was in my silver school, I think, or yeah, he was in my silver school with me,
Okay.
and we have a and then Joseph and I had this inside joke with this fence pole thing. So it was like, so now he's like, keep it clean, Kevin, no fence poles. And I'm just like, okay, Joseph. I'm
And do you
like,
know who
oh
Lori
no.
is? Do you know who
Yeah,
Lori
Lori
is?
is, yeah, she's Heather's mom.
And she went
So
to
she,
Silver recently, and I was able to meet her. I was the first one to sign her little card as a gold multiplicator. And and also, Kevin, I want to say that the feeling is 100% mutual, dude. I love talking with you. I think you're a great guy. And we've had conversations, not just about dogs, but about fish too. And I'm actually cleaning my fish tank today too, so it's a little coincidence
nice.
there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, yeah, and then yeah, anyone that's watching the live stream right now, if you guys got questions or watching, leave a comment, leave a question for us. We can probably answer those questions while we're talking. And yeah, it's just a nice conversation between Bill and I talking about genetics and dogs, because I think that's a very important factor that I figured this would be a good topic for people to listen to, especially when we have clients who get certain breeds of dogs for wrong reasons, and we'll go way more in depth about that and just talk about just how important the genetic part of it is for dogs. So I think because Bill, especially when you do matchmaking with people to pick the ideal dogs for them, right? Like for your opinion, like how important is it for that about the genetics?
Oh, it's very important, man. very important. I want to meet the parents of that dog. I want to see them and how they interact. And ever since I was a young kid, I just would watch, right? Just use my
Hmm.
eyes and observe, right? Take the observer role, without reaction, just kind of watch how things are. And it's pretty important, man. It's very important to see those parents and to meet those parents and see how they engage with you as a new person, and how willingness their willingness to allow you to engage with them. How long does it take them to warm up? Their initial reaction to you coming in the space. All these things are very important because it's just going to trickle down to that puppy. And I remember I interviewed a gal from Canine Companions for Independence, which is a service dog
Hmm.
outfit where they provide service dogs for people with various disabilities to help them navigate life and improve their quality of life. And I asked them the question. I said, what is genetics? What's the factor of genetics when selecting a dog?" And they said it was about 95% of their consideration goes into genetics.
Hmm.
And I was just kind of, I was like, whoa, that's a little bit higher than I thought. And it really just illustrates the importance of selecting the right dog. And I think that people, they get a little bit of a misconception on life with working dogs, right? And they see they see the awesome, like, performance that these dogs will do, but they don't take into consideration what got that dog to that level of understanding of how to perform that way.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, the classic when, like, you have like movies like John Wick, or like you have movies like Max, or even like that one movie with Channing Tatum with the Belgian Malinois,
Mhm.
or like Air Bud or Beethoven, where it's the same thing when people watch like a sports car, like someone flex with their Mustang, and then they're like, I want something like that, and then they get it, they're like, I do not know what to do in this damn car.
Yeah. Well, it's, I mean, it's sexy. It's something that um, they kind of in their mind's eye are dreaming, right? And
Hmm.
it's and but they're only seeing a snapshot of
Hmm.
this, right? They don't see the maintenance, they don't see the power, they don't see the technical skills that is required to operate this, whether it be a car or whatever. I mean, something
Hmm.
that requires even uh, the the maintenance of having that, right? It's like more responsibility for them. And
Hmm.
um and especially when we're talking about working dogs like these Malinois, these German Shepherds, these Rotties, these Pitties, these dogs that actually have a purpose. And I tell people that the role of the dog has changed dramatically in the last 150 years,
Hmm.
right? And so these dogs truly were working dogs that um, had been bred for a purpose. They're still bred for a purpose, but that purpose a lot of times has been replaced with technology, different aspects of innovation that we have come about to realize that we don't need this dog for this task. And even if it's like a protection dog, I mean, we're living in a very safe time right now. Like those protection dogs that were just to exist with people back in the 1800s, were a deterrent a lot of times
Hmm.
for some people. Or these dogs were working dogs where they truly needed them to manage their livestock. And I don't have too many people with livestock, right? Where that when we would raise our own food, and we didn't have these supermarkets and these innovations like I was talking about in the human world that have allowed us so many more conveniences. But in doing so, it has kind of taken the role of what we would have used these dogs for. And we need to remember that,
Hmm.
that these dogs have a purpose, that their purpose must be fulfilled one way or another. And that's where the importance of these dog sports have come in, as kind of like a surrogate fulfillment for these dogs that had real working jobs 150 years ago.
Yep.
um, and so
Yeah.
it's important to understand that, man.
Yeah. I think, yeah. And you bring up a very good point where, like, most of these breeds are like back in the day they were bred for like that sole purpose because it was like they they didn't like they were bred for that role and they weren't really so much more like companions for them kind of thing. And then you have all like you have all different aspects of dogs between like you have the bloodhounds and the beagles that just like have that really sensitive nose that they're like bred to track. The you had like the border collies and the sheepdogs that are bred to like use a lot of pressure, use a lot of like eye contact, chase the heel, bite the heels, herd moving things. You had the
Hmm.
shepherds that were just like protection work, or like even like Anatolian shepherds and Great Pyrenees that were like bred for like livestock and not really be around like that many people and supposed to be protective at their territory. Even like the terriers, even like I thought Yorkshire Terriers were just fifi foo foo like purse dogs. Later, I find out I like when I was a kid, I watched this Animal Planet show like Dogs 101, and apparently it was like they bred the Yorkies to be tiny enough to put up in the attic to kill all the rats in the upstairs and then bring them back downstairs when they're done. I'm like, no wonder they're like little feisty monsters.
Yeah, I give my clients homework all the time, man. It's like, I want you to track down what this dog was bred for,
Mm-hmm.
right? A Dachshund's going after badgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, um, like you said, even some of the terriers, the Jack Russell Terriers, they would gamble with these dogs. Pit bulls, right? They would gamble
Mm-hmm.
with these dogs. These
Mm-hmm.
these were entertainment. They were an aspect that, but literally, we don't have dog fighting dogs. Like, there is dog fighting in the world today, right? In
Mm-hmm.
certain countries that it's still legal in,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't really like it, but it's also something that I don't really want to deny that it does exist. And that's where, talking with Jay Jack about dogfighting, he was in that realm, right? Even here in America, there's an underground scene where there is rules and ways that they select and and navigate that space that a lot of people just don't want to know exists, because it is something that is kind of ugly, right? But it's
Mm-hmm.
also the truth of something that's out there, and I'm all about the truth, and no matter how brutal it can be, right? I want to know the truth. I don't want to know something that is untrue. I don't want to, like you said, fee foo foo. I don't want that stuff. I want the real nitty gritty. It's something that gives me a contextual understanding of where we are in our existence as human beings, and where we came from. Um, and so it's important. It's important to do your research. It's important to understand what you're getting into. And that's why, Kevin, I love it when people contact me before they have the dog,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're like, "We're thinking about getting a dog, and can you help us select the right dog?" And I about drop. I'm like, "I love you." Like, I just get weak in the knees, man. Like, I, I love it so much when people contact me, because it's like, "Oh, let's do this right." And when we do this, it's a dream come true, man. And that's where I've traded my life to understand these animals and the relationship, the dynamic of the people interacting with them. And I feel like I'm at that point in my career, after doing this for so long, where I can truly select the right dog for the right family. And it really is a match made in heaven, right? Because one aspect, I don't really have as much as an involved relationship with that family, because we're not managing this relationship like we typically are when they call me after they get the dog. And it's a lot of times it's just a management. It's always waiting for the next thing to pop up. And I tell people it's a management situation that will fail, or that's only waiting for its first failure, and it's going to fail. Like, you have to understand that this is going to fail. And it's not just a one and done type of thing. This is a lifelong, for the dog, a lifelong
Yeah.
management that is going to take some time and effort out of your life. And we also have to remember too, I call it a decade decision when people get a dog, right? Because they're living for 12, 14 years, they're living over a decade. And a lot of times I see people making a decade decision
Mm-hmm.
in an hour or two instead of taking the time necessary to really, really put forth the consideration that's required to make such a big decision in your life.
Yeah, and that's an amazing thing that you do, Bill, because it's like if people like just being able to find a dog that's compatible, fits the lifestyle of the person, just makes it just so much more like stress free for both dog and owner, right? Because if you have like, and there's like a question Heather had, but I'll put this example real quick where like, let's say we had like 70-year-old grandma with epilepsy and on an electric scooter, and then we give her like herding working line border collie, like that's, and I had that example happen like 5 years ago, and I was like, why did we get this dog?
Yes.
Because and then the couple was like, it looks like our dog, our healer mix that died tragically. Then I was like, okay, this is not going to work out as you think you will. And they went from mobile home to like a house, to like a rental house. Dog chewed the hose, dig holes in the backyard, ripped the fencing, and I'm just like, I don't know what breeder decided to say yes to you guys and sold you this damn puppy, but no. All right,
Yeah.
let's see. Heather has a question for us to pick apart. How how do you feel owner saying I want a dog who will guard my house but be friendly to my friends, kids' friends, family, etc.
I just let them know, hey, look, man, you might have a misunderstanding of what this role of this dog is going to be and what it requires to actually have a guard dog. And I tell them, look, entry level for a guard dog, we're looking at least $25,000 of training, right, to have a dog that's reliable, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Not, and that's just procuring the good dog, and that in itself doesn't include maintenance that you're going to have to do, and you're still going to have to manage this dog. And I said, there's so many, like I was saying, the ways that we've innovated as a human society. We have Blink, or what I think they're called Blink cameras, Blink or whatever. There's Wi-Fi cameras. There's many different things that we can have that alert us of presence of an intruder that's going to be a much less hit on your budget than this dog is. And I understand the idea, like I understand where they're coming from, but I have to tell them the truth about what to expect from this. And so first and foremost, I'd let them know, hey, look, I think you have a misunderstanding of what you're getting yourself into and what you want here.
Mm-hmm.
And that this is a high maintenance breed. Even if we go to the right breeder, we go to the right trainer, everything is done um, is done properly. We still have to manage this dog for life, and there are certain dogs that are high maintenance, and there's certain dogs that are what I call push button dogs, man. And so I tell them a lot of times that unless you really have the budget, unless you really have the resources to make this happen, I would suggest that you go other routes to
Mm-hmm.
secure your family, secure your homestead, and have a dog that absolutely will alert of the presence of somebody. Like we just had a package delivery, my dogs went crazy, right? Um, and there's just certain dogs that are inherently alarm barkers.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all that you want, is for them to alert. And once they've alerted, then you step into the fold and take care of either whether it be a guest or whether it be um, an intruder, that we have the means to protect our families. Because I just see, especially with kids, man,
Mm-hmm.
that I have to be an advocate for these kids. I'm also getting a lot of text here, so on my phone and my computer screen. We have to be an advocate for these kids. And I just did a live stream with Jason Vasconi, and Todd McVicker was on there, and he commented, and I agree with him, man. If there's a 1% chance that this kid can get hurt in this relationship, we really have to rethink it. And as somebody, I'm a Christian, and I believe that we're, as human beings, are made in the image of God, and that these dogs are meant to enhance our lives. They're meant to come into our lives and it's just something that I tell them the truth of, like, look, this might be something that you really, really need to reconsider. And we'll get a dog that may be alert. We'll get some technology that allows you to give you the extra eyes on this property much better than this dog even could. And
Hmm.
and then get you a dog that these kids can really interact with, grow up with, have fun with, and you guys can have wonderful memories with those kids without having the effort that it takes to manage a high maintenance dogs when you already have a beautiful family that deserves
Yeah.
100% of your attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree, especially with like, because it's always, especially when you have parents that are working like nine to five jobs who are paying for food, like the roof over their heads, just like, and even like, kids
It's
go into
hard, dude.
accidents. Yeah, it's like,
Mhm.
it's already a lifestyle just trying to take care of kids, get them ready for school, and like literally pay for everything. And then you add like a dog with high maintenance. And I work with a lot of parents and like dogs like that sometimes, and they're just like so beyond stressed. And then I go, especially I've had like a couple of stories. I've had like maybe one in particular where like this couple rescued a dog, but this dog is like, he's huge. He's like a mastiff mix, and he was not big on the kid, and the kid was scared of him. And then I'm talking to the parents. I'm like, your kid is not enjoying this dog. Your kid is gonna hate dogs if you keep this dog. Is like, and it's like, this is stressful just maintaining all this. And you know for the high maintenance dogs, is like people don't see like, okay, like we got to make sure we do all these little practice sessions to be like, okay, this is when you could bite. This is not when you could bite. This is not just like instant, like it's not like, I don't know, like a remote, like
Yeah,
bite that person. It's like that Jurassic Park. It's like Jurassic World when they had the laser, they had that gun, and then they point the laser and the Indoraptor like locks in. You press the button and it goes after whatever the laser touched. I'm like, no, it does not work that way.
well, Pat Stewart, man, we got into a big conversation about using laser pointers, like, but it was mostly for going through doors and stuff like that. But we also have to realize too is that this is add-on training. Once a dog is already what I call the foundation, understanding basic etiquette on how to exist, and what we've done all the work for that. That this is the extra credit, extra curriculum that we can put on a dog once we have those lines of communication as an 8-lane highway. And I hope I answered your question, Heather. Heather's down in Barbados, and I'll be heading to Costa Rica again next week, and I'm actually jealous. Heather and I are going to be doing some events together, you guys too. So make sure to check that out. And when I got to get back with Sophie. We can't announce the dates or anything right now, but I'm so looking forward to working with her. And I hope I answered your question about wanting your clients saying want a dog that guard their house um, and want the other side of that of being friendly with the kids and guests and stuff. I mean, it can happen, but we're talking big bucks, man, for a good reason too, because those dogs are very sought after. Those dogs have had a lot of work into them. And those dogs come from genetic sound quality bloodlines as well.
And that's and good, yeah, especially, and probably with those family, if they get a high maintenance dog, probably a lot of Red Bull so then they can stay awake, because between kids and dogs, I'm just like, God, need some caffeine in their lives.
Well, and just like you were talking about, Kevin, of talking to them and telling them, like, just like I love the truth no matter how brutal it is. Like I owe it, especially when people are paying me their hard-earned money, to tell them the truth. And if I see a kid that's suffering in a situation, I just like you said, this kid's gonna hate dogs, dude. You're you're doing something that's detrimental to the rest of this kid's life, to teach them good life skills, what you're supposed to be doing here. You've got a dog that's actually coming before your kid, and that whenever we have a dog or a kid, we have to be thankful for easy decisions, man. It's the kid 100% of the time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so we owe them the truth as well. And so that's something that not just my professional obligation, but I feel my moral obligation is like, look, once you've paid me that money, once you've asked for my advice, then I owe you the truth. And so it's something that we have to remember as well. And not just the truth of like, look, you have a misunderstanding of what you're getting yourself into. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll look for a Schutzhund event or something where we can meet on the field and where they can walk, and I'll walk them by the trailers, the dogs, and let them experience these dogs just come in, just lighting up, and I'm looking at them and I'm just like, no, come on this way. Let's go watch these dogs. And we don't even need to get in the field. They're like, no, dude, I don't want this at all. But it's showing them the truth. If they want to take it to the next step of like, look, let's go see these dogs in action. Let's go see how you feel watching this stuff. And you've only seen it on, whether it be an IGP or IPO or something that is a world champion they've watched on TV or something that's a YouTube video or whatnot. It's like they're watching the game day, right? This dog performing at the peak and at the outcome of so much training. And I compare it to, I'm up in Seattle, so Seahawks, go Hawks. I'm not really a huge football fan, but I compare it to the Seahawks, man, of watching them on game day and watching their performance, watching them out on that field. And we didn't see all the practices, all the workouts, all the physical rehab, the injuries, the fights in the locker room that has led up to this. Like there's a whole life behind that game day performance that needs to be considered.
Yeah, and then there's another thing that kind of popped up in my head as we were talking about this. It's like, like because like for me, like with the whole genetics and breed thing, I think is important. But like there's just I'm sure you have moments where like you have one person with like a very solid temperament, like Pitbull, right? Very happy-go-lucky, like could not care.
Dog.
Like not like very nice pity, very like no reactivity, all that, like solid, right? And then the friend of that person is like, I want a dog just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to like maybe like the rescue or the shelter, or even like some people still go get dogs from Craigslist, which is crazy, or like and then they get the dog, and then it's like cute little 8-week-old, and then they're like, it's the little signs that you're like, that from you and me, we'd be like, oh, this is a little red flag right here. But then they get older, they're like, oh, we let them go say hi to dogs and all that, and then you start to see like more of that dog's genetics show, and then the dog's like not a steady temperament, and then they go, Kevin or Bill, why isn't my dog just like my friend's dog? They're the same, right? And I go, no. I'm like,
yeah.
You have to consider like, like, because pity's with the prey, right? I mean, pit bulls came from a mixture of terriers and an English bulldog. So, but like just having it where like you have to understand like each dog genetically is like an individual. So just because you see a very solid temperament, pity, shepherd, or whatever, doesn't mean what you get is gonna be the exact duplicate of that dog. You have to like acknowledge the individual that you have, and just know like, okay, my dog might not do well with certain temperaments of other dogs, or like like he has like what I call like a short fuse, where it's like he won't start it, but if someone tries to be off chest puffy, then my dog's gonna go the same way, and then some, and I go, no. I'm like, you have short fuse dog. Your friend has a cupcake pit bull that a lot of people love, but different. So that's why I think just bringing up that kind of that kind of idea in my head. It was like, is like I get that all the time where that happens.
Absolutely. Well, and you temperament, right? So that's what we call, like, people say personality, right? And they'll say, "Oh,
Mhm.
my dog has the best personality." And I mean, I get it, and I don't always correct them because, like, that's how they view it, right? We have personalities, dogs have temperament. And the temperament, it's like the desirable traits that a dog will be: emotionally stable, inquisitive, cooperative, appropriately social, especially for its breed, right?
Mhm.
Demonstrates the ability to recover from situations in a reasonable amount of time, like a toughness, right? That they're
Mhm.
like, okay, cool, I got this. Otherwise, they might shut down or whatnot. And I hear this all the time. I just heard it when a client that I was talking to about 10 minutes before our live stream here is like, when a dog does not recover in a reasonable amount of time, I hear my clients say, "Oh, they must have been beat before. They must have been, especially by a man with a beard and a hat." Right? I hear that a lot, and I have to
Mhm.
remind them, "Look, this is something that the dog just does. This is the temperament of your particular dog just has a hard time recovering after they have experienced something that is overwhelming to them, and effectively they shut down. It's a fight, flight, fawn, or freeze type of reaction where the dog just does not know how to respond to this particular stimuli. And even though it's not an overnight fix, we work on that, and we recognize thresholds and overwhelm when the dog starts to exhibit these characteristics that it's our actual moment of when we actually train this animal, and to provide them with a way to be okay with this stuff, if that's possible. And so that's where, as a professional, that's my job, is to help you recognize when the dog starts to get into overwhelm. And we communicate. We're just standing here, I'm perfectly still, and we're using our vocal cords. And where a dog, they use space, they use body language, they use tonation. There's a number of different things that a dog uses to communicate. And a lot of people just are not aware that
Mhm.
this dog has been communicating this. Either they're not aware, or they mislabel the communication that the dog is trying to do. And
Mhm.
we as human beings, just like I was saying, how we call it personality for that dog, personality, we overlay our own perception upon this animal. And I get it, because it makes it easier to understand things when we can kind of see it through our own lens, right?
Mhm.
But that's a mistake, and I explain that to a lot of times to my clients, is like, look, this isn't a person. This dog interprets this world and this human world a lot different than we do, and a lot of things don't make sense to this dog
Mhm.
and invoke a fear reaction. There's a lot of contraptions. There's a lot of inventions that we have: buses, scooters, strollers, skateboards, bicycle. Like, there's so many things, that even trash cans, that might evoke that fear response that the dog just does not know how to deal with, and needs a gradual exposure to realize that this is something that just exists in a human world. And um and so that's the importance of understanding dog body language and how to properly temperament test a dog. And I want to talk about some of the stuff that I do. So when I go to either a shelter or a rescue, or whether it be an adult dog or whether it be a puppy, when I start to match make for these people that have hired me for this. Now, when people want me to match make, I like it when they leave it wide open. But sometimes they
Mhm.
want me to match make a particular breed, and that's fine. But sometimes I like it when they're like, "You know what? Let's just see what comes or across our front door here." But sometimes they want me to match make them a pity, or they want me to match make them somebody, or the dog that might be a working dog. And there's certain temperament tests that you can do with these animals that are going to determine if that's the right dog for this person. And just like, I mean, some people are, absolutely, I'll get you a dog that's a working dog if you have the lifestyle, if you have the expectation, if you understand exactly what you're getting into, then, oh yeah, absolutely, I can find you a good dog. Um, but I'm a pet dog trainer for the most part, Kevin, and I'm working with families, um, and so one of the things that I'll do, just like I said, when I meet the parents of the dog, and I was
Mm-hmm.
talking about how do they deal with me coming into the room? How do they deal with me coming into that space?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Are they freaking out, running around? Are they barking their heads off? Are there hackles? Is their hair up in the back of their head or their neck? Are they very leery of my presence? Or are they happy to see me? Are they joyful that I've just come into this space? Are they wagging that tail? Are they jumping all over me? Are they aloof? Are they just like, oh, another person here? Right. And so I observed that. And then after I've been there for a while, I just kind of check them out. How long does it take them to kind of get used to my presence?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then I might stand up quickly or run out the room or something like that. That is just kind of, hold on one second. Let me decline my call here. um, how do I, or how does does a dog startle? Does a dog, um, chase after me? Does a dog try to bite my butt and tell me to get out of there? Or like, is there a reaction from this animal from me jumping up and running out the room? Sometimes I might go towards the dog pretty quickly, right? Just to see if the dog is very fearful, if the dog is like, oh, here he comes. And then I'll take a toy, I'll roll it across the ground, especially for my puppies. And for my puppies, I'll walk away from them, see who follows me, see who wants to come near me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and when I walk in and talking about puppies, when I walk into a room like with a litter of puppies, who's the puppy that's going to come and greet me? And a lot of times that's not necessarily the dog that I'm selecting, and that comes counterintuitive for my clients because they think that this is dog wants them. They don't think that this is an independent dog that's scouting me out. That's just it's a lot of this stuff is counterintuitive that we're doing. And so I make these notes, and sometimes I'm making mental notes. Sometimes I have my pad and paper and I'm writing down stuff that this dog would make a good choice. Or for the most part though, Kevin, do you know what, especially with rescues, it takes a long time, man. Like
Yep.
we're not going in the first, very rarely that the first day that I go into that rescue that we find the dog.
Yep.
Right. And then also I'll talk to the people or the breeder, and just let them know, hey, here's what I'm looking for. Give me a holler if you
Mm-hmm.
might have a dog that fits this bill. So there's a lot that goes into this, like selection of that proper dog. Now there's some dogs and some breeders and some breeds that I'll take any dog that they have because this is the perfect dog. A lot of times, like my English Labs, like those dogs I'm in love with those English Labs for my families, and I probably have purchased about 20 of those dogs at least in my career
Mm-hmm.
for families. So
Yeah, and I think too, it's like, yeah, like especially when you're going to your local shelter or rescue, it's kind of like you don't know what you're getting. Like at that point, it's kind of just like, I mean, honestly, how I see it with like when people adopt dogs and things, it's like it feels like online dating where like you swipe right, you meet them the first time, you're in love with them, and then you meet them, you get them within 2 or 3 weeks, then you start to see like how they really are. And they're like, oh, is it too late to swipe left or like unmatch? And and then they feel bad, and then they just get all this stuff, and then me being knowing not that I'm on Tinder or like on dating apps or anything, maybe on the side, but just like I like to I have like a comparing that and this, and I'm like they are kind of similar.
yeah, well, if you are on the Tinder app, I hope that you're wearing that cowboy hat in the background there on your profile picture, bro.
I mean,
You should put it on, dude. Nice.
I'll wear it right now. I got two of them.
Dude, you're so awesome. I love it. Yeah, wear it.
Oh,
Oh, dude, you gotta
it
put it
won't.
under.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you got your headphones
it
on.
won't fit with the headphone, but I'll put it on real. I'll put it on real quick.
Dude, I love it. I love it. Um, Yeah, dude, I've never swiped right or swiped left or anything, dude. We're going down to Costa Rica to celebrate my 20th year of marriage. So I've never, thankfully, ever have dated online or any of that stuff. But dude, what a great analogy I can I I can relate with, dude. Like I can't relate with, but I can understand how I'm going to use that now. Like if you ever dated online, like just think about when you're in love and then you can bring them home or whatever.
You're
And
like,
you just
this is the dream, and they're like past the honeymoon, and they're like, oh no, and I literally, it's the same, and that's the thing where I think a lot of people give me credit for is, oh, hold on, give me a lot of credit for it is just having, like, comparing it, making it simple for the people, for like people, like kind of like, how like we were talking about like humanizing the dog and like,
Mhm.
so it's kind of like one example that I talk about, like if they had like a stranger danger dog or something, or if they had a dog that was like standoffish with other dogs or certain people, like let's say men with beard and hat, because Joseph just
Yeah.
was laughing at the beard and hat part, right? So I like talk about it where, like, okay, like if this was the owner was like was was with the dog, and I go like, hey, like if your imagine this dog was your best friend who was very introverted at the bar or at the pub, and then you would just have this, you have like this intimidating guy with a beard or a hat trying to go up and hit on her and things like that. Like for you, right? Like if this is your friend and she's obviously uncomfortable, you would intervene and advocate for your friend, right? And they go, absolutely. Then I go, yes. So give your dog that same protection you would provide for your best friend in the bar, or like if a dog comes, or like a off leash dog runs up to you, to your dog, it's like, okay, if it was their dog, they're like, I don't know what to do. But it's like, if I said, if this is your kid, if this is your kid and a dog was running up to your kid, what would you try to protect her? It's like, absolutely, give your dog the same protection you would provide your kid, just being able to like talk them through, like give them through examples like that, and they're like, oh, that makes sense, and I'm like, and I go, right, let's see.
Yeah, and what's up, Nelson? You guys, this guy is one of my biggest mentors here, and I love and appreciate him. So if you're in the dog world and you don't know Nelson Hodges, you need to, because he explains how to understand what I was saying about the body language of the dog. And that is so huge. And just like Kevin's talking about, like we need analogies, dude. Like, and especially for people like us that have traded our lives to work with dogs, we go to all these schools and we learn all these fancy, positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, all this stuff. But our clients are hiring us to fix a problem, dude. They don't care. They're doing something else. They're passionate about something else in life. They don't care about all this jargon and ways that we always have to speak to these people, or we feel the need to kind of impress them. They just want help. And so the more analogies that you can put this in where they can understand the situation in a better way, that they can invoke change that's going to help and fix this problem that you're being hired for, the better. Right. And so analogies are key, especially with pet dog people. And Adrian Forsyth, her?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I
she's
love her.
yeah, she's my gold and silver bestie. But we're going to be doing a project we're working on right now, about and we're going to call it what is the Response Olympics, where
Ooh.
we're going to be doing Zoom calls with people, and we're going to be talking to them about the responses that we give our clients. Um, and so
Oh.
you bring us some situation that you've been in, or just something that you have an earnest question about, like how do we handle this, and we're going to do our best, and we're going to invite guests to come on as well, because there's so many people out there that are just really good at this, and to give you our responses to help to keep things fun, but also there's also professional boundaries that we have to maintain with our clients. There's ways that we got to explain, and so we can get the most effective and efficient way of them learning, because that's what they're hiring us for, is to get help. And so that's an aspect of what we do, we're not just cross species or interspecies. We are same species communication, right? To help
Mhm.
them become more effective and efficient at that cross species or interspecies relationship with their particular animal. And so, um,
That's
and
a
I've
cool
heard,
idea. I love that idea. I definitely would love to watch that or maybe like help out, you know. That's a really cool thing you two are doing.
yeah, we're gonna do it. It's gonna be paid for people. I think it's like $10 or something. We're gonna charge just to, and
Mhm.
we're gonna invite people to bring their questions and bring them up, raise their hands if they have it. We'll figure it out. We're just kind of putting the framework together now, and then we're also going to be showing it on my Patreon for people and offering them a level. When I haven't figured out which level I'll be offering, probably my $20 level on my
Mhm.
Patreon to interact with my Zoom calls as well. So um, we're going to be doing that, and she's one of my favorite people in the world too. So she's really good at the analogies, just like you are, Kevin. And the more help that we can, the more that we can cooperate as an industry. At the end of the day, we're all in this for the dogs, and so I'm all about the cooperation and not so much about the competition. Um, and so we can stop the the amount of dogs that are being needlessly euthanized or even returned to shelters. And another thing is that I never shame my clients. Oh, well, I do if they're being I'll fire a client, right? If they're being, butthead to me, or if they really just they're 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 not understanding the gravity of the situation that they're in, especially with their kids, right, or whatnot. I owe them the truth. But if they're earnestly wanting help and they just have a busy life, then it's our job to help them. And so I hear a lot of dog trainers will shame their clients, or it's your fault that this you're not doing this enough. You're not. It's like, no, like it's your fault as a trainer for not being able to effectively communicate a way that's going to fix this problem to them,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
or communicating the truth of, like, this problem can never be fixed, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you also have like trainers that and this is no one in particular, but it's like I feel like I can see certain situations where like they won't give the honest truth. It's just like, you know, they'll just put layer on layer and then just say give them like a little glimmer of hope and say like, oh, if you do more with me, like there's like a board and train out here that's like, you know, they'll charge like 3,000 for training program, and then I had a client experience where they were just like, hey, when do we get to this point to work on reactivity and things? They go, oh, that's the next level, next to the next level. And like for me, it's like as much as I would love $3,000 per like program kind of thing, I'm just like I'm here to make things a lot easier for you and your dog. I will give you the honest truth. And like for me, it's like I love collabing with trainers. I love like networking because like, you know, it's like if I can provide you a board and train because I don't do it anymore. I'd be like, hey, like I know people in the industry. I know if you're in Seattle, I'll set you up. I'll give you Bill's contact. If you're up in Portland, Oregon, cool. Heather's up there. If you're up in like San Jose or like some other people, like, you know, that's why I'm grateful to have the IACP, the International Association of Canine Professional. I can just be like, who's here, and then
Hmm.
just trust that I could like that I have a network. Because for me, it's like if I can't help you, I'll bring you to a person that'll help you out.
Yeah, and that illustrates the importance of cooperation, right? Is like, look, we need this network to help. Like I said, we're all in this for the dogs, and so if I can't do what you need, then I'm going to send you off to a colleague that I can be certain will take good care of you. You're in good hands. Um, and so it's something that, that's why I do. Actually, that's why I do these interviews too, man, is to help people and to learn myself. Like that's truly, it's kind of a selfish endeavor, but I wanted to be able to just talk to people, man. I love people. I'm a humanitarian at heart, and I have observed certain things, not just with myself, but also with my clients and with my colleagues. And I remember actually being at an IACP conference and just being like, man, I wish we would have recorded this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I've started to do, is just do these conversations where we record them, and if anybody can gain benefit from it, so be it, man. And I've had a couple shadow students that have come up to me, and I stopped doing the interviews for a while. And my
Mm-hmm.
wife was unfortunately sick, and I've had some family issues with losing my mom and father. They passed away pretty quickly next to each other, and that changed me a little bit. But then I had a shadow student, Gina Cooley, who's actually going to be one of my first gold students as well. She came up to me as I was shadowing her, and she said, "Look, man, I all of the mentors that I have, I've seen, and I've watched on your page, and that's how I knew that I could reach out to them and trust them, because I watched your interaction with them." And so that's why I was like, "Oh man, I got to continue to do this. And if it's a valuable resource that people are actually gaining the help and advice and learning that they need." And so that inspired me to start it back up again. So,
I mean, to be fair, you inspired me to do all the live streams I've been doing, because it was just like, I feel like if I were to try to do live stream by myself, I feel awkward about it, and I would feel like I'd be missing certain concept. But then when I'm talking with people like other trainers like you and other friends, then it's like it's an actual conversation. It's like it comes out naturally, and then plus is like I have a lot of clients on Facebook who, or like just people that they know would love to hear this, and then I just share it out there. And also, it's also nice just to have it recorded. So, like, in case I don't need to repeat myself again, I just go copy paste here, and then you can just repeat the video instead of asking me again. And then
yeah,
we'll talk about something new, and then etc. But these chats are great. It's great to just, that's why I love highlighting certain aspects so people can understand what I'm talking about, with like whether it's genetics or reactivity or um, even just like management, how we just did it with Skylar and Macy like a few weeks ago. It's really fun.
yeah. Well, people can tell when you're authentic, dude. And so much content out there that's just curated or clipped and just little segments of it, right? It's not just the whole aspect of what got you to that point. And I think that people can tell, because I don't edit my stuff at all. I'm busy and I'm already doing other things, that I just record it live and boom, it's done, and I don't need
Yep.
to worry about it. And it's a great resource as like, oh, you need to listen to this, you need to listen to this interview that I did with this guy with, and we just did a bunch with Jason Kessler with livestock guardian dogs, and I'm like, listen to him, dude. Like, this will give you a better understanding of what you're trying to get into. And it's I need to go back through, and I've been working on it a little bit, excuse me, by taking the live stream and curating it a little bit myself to bring out the pearls of wisdom that are dropped on some of these live streams. And it's so cool, man, how long I've been doing this for a long time. And I've also been, I mean, 7 years, I think, was my first interview a while ago. So it's pretty cool, to
Mm-hmm.
have almost 200 of these live streams. And some of them are, I mean, they're with the best dog people in the whole world, and some of them are 2-3 hours long. And I'll be doing one with William Gallegos. What's his last name? With Dog Training Is My Passion.
Will.
What's his
Will
last name? Garrett.
Garrido or Garrido?
Let me find out. Sorry,
I
Will.
know who you. I know who you're talking about. He was in the gold school with me.
Was he really? Cool.
Yeah, he was in gold school with me, Derek, Chris William, Daniel Schwartz or Schness, or God, I'm so bad. I'm sorry, guys. If any of my Napopo peeps are listening to this, I'm so sorry. I like skewed your names. I apologize. If I see you guys in a school, I'll buy you a beer or something. I'll make it up for it.
Where is he at here? I want to find him because I got to get his name right here. But
I know what. Yeah, hold on, Garrido. My God. Oh,
Garrido.
that's why. It's W.A.Garrido, and I was like, wait.
There he is, right there. Garrido.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing one a live stream with him, and he was talking about, man, I've watched a lot of your stuff, and you need to have way more numbers on your live stream because a lot of my stuff isn't viewed that much, and I'll work on that. But the thing is like I said, this is kind of a selfish endeavor. And then I had to say to him, dog training is my passion, because that's the name of his.
This is the name of his podcast.
I'm telling him we are shouting you out right now.
We're just skewing your last name terribly.
Yeah, sorry, dude. Garrido. Got it. Leeds podcast. Here. Leeds. Here we go.
Thanks for listening, Nelson. You have a good one. Hopefully I'll see you at a conference this year.
Well, Nelson, dude, I'm going to reach out to you because we need to do another one. Nelson's one of my most popular. I don't know if you know this, Nelson, but you're one of my most viewed podcasters or episodes. And I always love chatting with you, Nelson. And like I said, if you guys don't know Nelson Hodges and what he's doing down in Texas, you got to. He's in my opinion, mandatory prerequisite to understand dogs, especially as a professional.
Yeah. Let me see.
What's Judy say?
Judy's got a question. I assume the hashtag means pound.
Yeah.
Yeah. 60 pound mutt lab shepherd mix, 9 years old. Have our 6-month-old granddaughter living with us. He doesn't know how to act and is nervous, whine, barking whenever he is in the room with her when we are holding her. Any ideas? Is it just to limit his exposure until she is older? So
absolutely. Absolutely. You know, he's telling you that he's discomfort or he's uncomfortable with her. And a lot of times the juveniles, little kids especially, have a very scattered and kind of chaotic energy about them. And it is our job to keep them safe, especially with a 60-pound mutt. I mean, that's and remember that 80% of dog attacks happen to kids 10 and under. And 70% of the attacks that happen to the kids that are 3 and under, 70% of the attacks happen in the neck and face area. And for a dog correcting another dog, that makes sense because they'll correct them in the jowls. They'll let them know. But for a human being, that can be very detrimental to be attacked by a dog, especially at that young age, a formative year. So I'm sorry to hear that, Judy. And I would definitely limit the space. I might even suggest, or I will suggest, that you contact a professional that can help you, because there's so much that we can do on a live stream here without knowing the intricacy, the details.
We got our tongues mixed up because of Will.
Yeah, the finer details of your particular situation, and so you might need some hands-on help from an expert. Where are you located?
I think she's in Riverside, California. I think I met her when she was at Jay Jack's workshop when Jen that had that big Jen that had the big Rottweiler at conference, Han Solo. So
John Freelick.
Yeah, I think so I think if anyone, I probably would just reach out to Jen to have you to like just talk to, since she's like really close by. So
yeah.
But I think limiting the access right now, and I think just slowly just creating positive associations and just giving the dog like a safe spot, or like if you start seeing signs, you can just give your dog a break and things like that. I think is really important. It's always just good it's always like, especially if your dog was the first resident of that house.
Yeah, but the kid always comes first, man.
Kids come first, definitely. Absolutely. For sure. So
And she made another comment. Her 80-pound lab. I wonder if I can put these up. No, I can't.
I get it.
Her 80-pound lab just doesn't seem to care, and that's what we want. We want
Yep.
dogs and good for you to recognize that with your 60-pound mutt that he's uncomfortable, and that's the first step here is being able to assess the situation and possibly fix it, is to recognize when they start getting uncomfortable, and so we can keep that kid safe first and foremost.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry,
And then-
Judy, for that.
But I think we'll wrap up soon. But one analogy just popped up in my head because we were talking about genetics with like breeding and just like purpose, and how like sometimes we went from 1883 to 2024 where the dogs that are bred for this job or these purposes aren't, like, we don't have sheep, we're not living out in the country and all that. And I do this analogy for my clients with dogs like that, with like purpose and things, where it's like if you have, it's like you having like this Beijing Olympic student or Beijing Olympic like athlete, right? But then he's stuck in the apartment and he has like no purpose, right? And I always tell people how, like, if you don't really have any like hobbies or purpose or like motivation to things, you kind of develop like some sort of like insecurity, behavior issues kind of thing, right? So then I tell them, like, your dog, it's important for you to find your dog's calling, your dog, like, acknowledge, like, give your dog a job, because like I tell people, you wouldn't just want to sit home all day, just stuck at home, like you have a need to, we all have a need to either like go out for a walk or go do something with yourself. It's not just like, I mean, unless you like sitting on the couch watching Yellowstone like me, like all day, but that's a different story. But
Yellowstone, where's that cowboy hat? I'm just kidding.
I know, I have it. I have the vest. I want to get like the softer cowboy hats instead of this one, so it's gonna happen.
Get Stetson. Stetson, man. Do you know Stetson, right?
What's Stetson?
Stetson hats.
Stetson hats? Is it a good brand? If it is, I'll look it up. I'm definitely gonna go shopping.
I mean, there's some of them you can spend up to about $6,000 for a cowboy hat, bro. But I just bought. I got some. I mean, the one's in my truck right now. But I wear a hat. It's a crush-proof Stetson, and I think it was like $130. And it was the Stetson, the Gus, I think. But they have hundreds of different models and whatnot that you can. But Stetson, Stetson, and it's, I mean, tried and true. This is the hat to buy, bro. So you're welcome there. That's going to be your Yellowstone suggestion there. Well,
now
and just like
everyone's gonna know I love Yellowstone. So
yeah, it's worth checking out. But dude, and I'll wear my cowboy hat next time we see each other. We'll go out and then I'll say to you, why can't I quit you? No, just kidding. Sorry.
Oh my God, I love it.
But dude, like you were saying about the Beijing Olympian, like, we have a purpose, right? And this is something, remember what I was saying about being a kid and talking to my clients' kids about pay attention to things that you want to do, your wants and desires, even as a young child. Like I say, as somebody that's getting to be 50 years old now, like, it's a trip, dude, to look in the mirror and see myself getting older, because I'm the same person that I always have been. And I can remember back to when I was a little kid, and a lot of parts about me, they changed as far as like my physical appearance and things that grow up around me, like our environment, our trees and stuff. We can watch them grow and go back to our childhood home and see the tree and the bushes, everything grow around us. A lot of things do change, but there's certain aspects of you that will always stay the same. And so we have these intrinsic wants and desires that are never going to change. And if you don't fulfill them, a lot of times they can transmute into frustration. They can transmute into depression. They can transmute into anxiety. And so if that's the case with us, and there's I can only assume that that's also the case with our dogs, because we're mammals. We possess, even though they're not human beings, they don't have the outer buffer of the brain that we do. We still have a circulatory system. We still have a nervous system, skeletal system, and I know dogs have emotions. I know it, man, just because I've seen it. And but I can't know 100% because I'm not a dog. And so I can only feel what I feel and assume based on my observations as a professional for so long that that's just the way it is. And so we need to find a surrogate way of fulfilling these desires that are going to allow our dog to be happy and to feel like they are not just living out their desires, but also contributing to the family unit. They say they're pack animals. I say that they're family animals. It's like a pack plus a human element of being in a family. And so how do we stroke that desire for the dog to belong and to know that without a doubt they are where they need to be and that they're wanted, loved, and contributing to the function of that family. And so that's us. That's our job as a professional, is to how do we figure this out, and then how do we help our clients to implement it. And as good teachers, we need to become progressively unnecessary. And so that's where the analogies and things come in to help them better understand the situation that they're in, and so that they can make the changes to make sure that everybody is fulfilled, including our dogs.
Yeah, and I think, the goal would be, it's kind of like, and I don't know why this popped up in my head, but I thought of Jurassic Park 2, Lost World, when John Hammond, like at the end, was like these animals, these creatures, they need our absence later on, not our help. And then if we just, after we done our job, we just stand aside and let them be. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's just like, I'm gonna be here to support you, but goal would be like what you guys do when I'm not around, and that's why, like, if you guys are not sure about what would be some activities to help fulfill your dog, it's good to just reach out to a trainer and just ask, because you've got different things like agility, you got tri-ball, you have scent detection, you have you got like earth dog, you got fast cat, you got all these different activities. You just gotta see. You just if you're not sure, just find a professional for you to see what would be the right niche for you and your dog. So
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be formal. I
mhm.
do urban agility, where it's like, look at our environment. What can your dog pop up on? What can we, do like a place command on a park bench or something that, we take aspects that we learned in the sport, and then we apply it to our normal everyday life as well. So, and that's where the art and science, right? There's an art and science to this dog training, and we become the artist, but there's also aspects of this that allows our dog to be the artist as well, where they can be creative, offer spontaneous behavior, and then we can reward that, or we can correct it as well.
Yep, because Napopo, what I learned is, dogs will. What does a dog do? How does a dog do? Dog will always find advantage. Dog will always want to find the good feelings, and it's all isn't just it's important to just understand your dog and and just give your dog some sort of itinerary or job. Honestly, it's like my dogs do it all the time. Eat from slap mill, I play ball, or even just hang a toy on a tree with a spring pole. I learned that from GRC and J Jack, and my dogs love that shit.
Yeah, and I just ordered 2 more slap mills from Firepaw. That's one of my favorite companies too. George from Firepaw is amazing. But just know, like, we're here, man. We're here. If you guys want to reach out to me, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook. Subscribe to my channel, like my page, and give me a call. My number's right there, and then also a Patreon, where I have different levels, even just $5 a month, where we can you can kind of see the behind the scenes of my life, and I do need to post on there more. I've been working on just getting my ducks in a row so I can do my classes here on my property, and then just start to get back to the way that I was after this pretty big experience in life that really kind of caused me to take a moment and just reflect and to be thankful for the things that I have, and now I'm ready to hit the road running again. So just know that we're always here for you and to help you, and but it's your job to reach out and to ask for that help, and that takes some vulnerability and laying down of some egos, and that's why we're here. So I encourage you to do that.
Yeah, couldn't have said it any better myself. So, all right, guys. So I think we're gonna wrap up with Bill. And Bill, you are an amazing person with and a great source of knowledge. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, brother.
But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything, you could comment on the video, or you can just message us on Facebook. We'd be happy to answer any questions. And for upcoming live streams, we got Allison Thursday afternoon, evening-ish, East Coast, and then we got my friend Michelle, I think on the 15th. So no, 17th. So, but we're gonna sign out. Say our goodbyes, but you guys have a great Monday. You were saying, Bill?
Oh, I have Joseph coming on Thursday, so guys pay attention to my channel as well. So Joseph is going to be on the Bow Wow Bill live stream, so we'll be chatting with him, and there he is. Look forward to talking to you, buddy. And Kevin, man, thank you, dude. I appreciate you, and I just want to encourage you to keep this up. You're doing an awesome job, and I'm always here for you, man. And I look forward to having you in one of my classes up here, also with Heather. And you're just a great friend, man. You're awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. All right, Facebook, we're gonna sign off. Y'all have an awesome day. All right.
Bye, Facebook.